If you've been losing at blackjack and blaming bad luck, it might not be luck at all. There are 7 dealer techniques that look completely legal but are designed to separate you from your money faster than you can count to 21. I'm speaking as someone who is trained in these exact methods. An ex-Vegas dealer who learned the legal cheating playbook that casinos use to tilt every hand in their favor. Before you sit down at another blackjack table, you need to know the 7 card cheat codes that dealers are taught from day one. This isn't about illegal moves. This is about legal manipulation that's been perfected over decades. Most players think blackjack is straightforward. Dealer deals cards, you make decisions, cards fall where they fall. But what you don't see is the psychological warfare, the subtle dealing techniques, and the trained behaviors that influence every hand in the house's favor. I spent 3 years dealing blackjack on the Strip. I was taught these methods in dealer school. I watched veteran dealers execute them flawlessly. And I watched thousands of players lose money to techniques they never even noticed. Today, you're learning all 7 codes so you can protect yourself. Cheat code number 1. The rush shuffle. This is the foundation technique every dealer learns in their first week. The rush shuffle. It looks like the dealer is just shuffling efficiently to keep the game moving. But the real purpose is to create a pace that forces you into mistakes. When the cards are moving fast, you don't have time to think. You rely on instinct. And instinct at blackjack usually means bad decisions. Here's how it works. The dealer completes the shuffle in 30 to 45 seconds, fast enough that you can't track anything. Fast enough that you feel pressure to make quick decisions. The dealer immediately starts dealing without pause. Cards hit the table rapidly. Before you've even processed your hand, the dealer is looking at you expectantly. Hit or stay. You feel rushed. You make a decision without proper analysis. As a dealer, I was explicitly trained on this. My pit boss would tell me, keep the game moving. Don't let players think too long. Thinking players are winning players. We had target speeds. 8 hands per hour minimum on a full table. 12 hands per hour on a heads-up game. That pace is deliberately designed to overwhelm your decision-making process. Here's what this looks like in practice. You have 16 against the dealer's 10. Proper basic strategy says you should hit. But you're flustered by the pace. The dealer is staring at you. Other players are waiting. You feel pressure. You stand. The dealer flips 21. You lose. That rush shuffle just cost you money by forcing a bad decision under time pressure. The worst part? This technique is completely legal. The dealer is just keeping the game moving efficiently. But the real goal is to prevent you from playing optimal strategy. Because optimal strategy reduces the house edge to around 0.5%. Rushed emotional play increases the house edge to 2 to 5%. That difference is enormous over hundreds of hands. Have you ever felt rushed at a blackjack table, like the dealer was moving too fast? Comment yes or no, because that wasn't accidental. That was trained technique designed to force mistakes. Here's how to counter the rush shuffle. Slow down deliberately. Take your time on every decision. If the dealer pressures you, ignore it. You're the customer. You control the pace of your decisions. Use a basic strategy card if you need to. The dealer might get annoyed. Other players might sigh. Don't care. Your money is on the line, not theirs. Slow play is defensive play. I watched players who refused to be rushed consistently outperform rushed players. One regular I dealt to would take 15 to 20 seconds on every decision. He'd study his cards, look at the dealer's up card, calculate odds mentally. Other players hated him. The pit boss hated him. But he was playing optimal strategy, and his win rate reflected it. He understood that speed favors the house. Here's the insider truth. When a dealer sees you playing slowly and deliberately, they flag you mentally. You're marked as an informed player. The pit boss might watch you more carefully. They might adjust other techniques to compensate. But you've already neutralized their primary weapon. Rushed decision-making. Cheat code number 2. The strategic dealer up card peek. This one is subtle, and most players never notice it. When the dealer has an ace or 10 showing, they check for blackjack. That's standard procedure. But the way they check and what they reveal through body language can influence your decisions. Some dealers are trained to control this information strategically. Here's the technique. Dealer has an ace showing. They peek for blackjack. If they have it, they reveal it immediately. Game over. But if they don't have it, the dealer's body language and timing can suggest whether their whole card is strong or weak. A quick, casual peek suggests a weak card. A slower, more deliberate peek might suggest they're confirming a strong card that isn't quite blackjack. Now, this isn't universal. Many dealers check mechanically without thought. But veteran dealers who understand the psychology will sometimes use the peek as a subtle psychological tool. They might pause fractionally longer when they have a strong whole card, creating subtle doubt in your mind about hitting aggressively. As a dealer, I watched pit bosses coach veteran dealers on table presence. They'd say things like, "Control the psychological space. Your body language tells a story. Use it." Most dealers didn't explicitly manipulate their peeks, but some absolutely did. The best dealers could influence player decisions without saying a word, just through timing and subtle physical cues. Here's how this affects you. You have 15 against a dealer ace. The dealer peeks, doesn't have blackjack, but took a full second longer than usual. You subconsciously registered that as strong whole card. You stand when basic strategy says you should hit. Dealer flips over a 6-4-17. You lose. The dealer's strategic peek influenced your suboptimal decision. The counter to this is simple. Ignore dealer body language completely. Don't try to read the peek. Don't look for tells. Play basic strategy mechanically regardless of what the dealer does during their check. The only information that matters is the cards on the table, not the dealer's timing or demeanor. I dealt 2 card counters who would literally look away during my peek. They didn't want any psychological influence. They played pure math, pure strategy. They understood that reading dealer tells is a trap. The variance is too high, and the house uses that curiosity against you. Here's what most players do unknow. Some casinos actually train dealers to standardize their peeks specifically to prevent tell reading. They'll use automatic card readers that eliminate human timing variance. But on tables with manual peeks, dealers have discretion. And that discretion can be used psychologically to influence your decisions. Cheat code number 3. The friendly distraction. This is the most insidious technique because it feels positive. The dealer is friendly, chatty, personable. You're having a good time. You're laughing, telling stories, enjoying the social experience. Meanwhile, you're bleeding money because the social distraction is preventing you from focusing on optimal play. Here's how it works. The dealer engages you in conversation. Where are you from? What brings you to Vegas? Try the buffet yet? You're answering, being friendly back. During this conversation, you're making betting and playing decisions on autopilot. You're not calculating odds. You're not thinking about basic strategy. You're socializing. And socializing at a blackjack table costs you money. As a dealer, this was explicitly part of our training. Create a fun, engaging atmosphere. Players who are having fun stay longer and bet more. They didn't phrase it as distract them, so they make mistakes, but that was the functional result. Happy, distracted players make more errors. Errors generate profit for the house. I became very good at the friendly distraction. I'd remember regular players' names, ask about their families, tell jokes, create a party atmosphere. Players loved dealing with me. They also lost more money at my table than at tables with cold, silent dealers. Why? Because they were focused on the social experience, not the mathematical game. Here's a concrete example. You have 12 against dealer 3. Basic strategy says hit. But the dealer just asked you about your kids, and you're in the middle of a story. You glance at your cards, don't want to interrupt your own story, and you stand without thinking. Dealer flips 8 for 21. You lose. The friendly distraction just cost you a hand you should have one. The psychological trap is that unfriendly dealers feel uncomfortable. Nobody wants to sit at a cold, silent table. So you gravitate toward the fun, chatty dealer. But that fun dealer is a trained professional using social skills to reduce your focus. It's social engineering, and it's devastatingly effective. Have you ever had a dealer that was so fun you didn't even care you were losing? Comment if yes, because that dealer wasn't accidentally charming. They were executing a trained technique to keep you at the table longer, despite losses. The counter? Be friendly, but stay focused. You can enjoy the dealer's company while still playing optimal strategy. Don't let conversation override mathematical decisions. If you need to interrupt a conversation to consult your strategy card, do it. The dealer will wait. Your focus is more important than their feelings. I had some players who would be pleasant but minimally conversational. They'd smile, nod, give one-word answers, and focus on their cards. Those players frustrated me as a dealer because I couldn't distract them. Their win rates were noticeably better than the chatty, socially engaged players. Here, ask the insider move. If you re-add a table and the dealer is working hard to engage you socially, recognize it as a technique. You don't have to be rude, but you can politely maintain focus on the game. I appreciate the chat, but I really need to concentrate right now. Most dealers will back off. The smart ones will recognize you're an informed player and adjust their approach. Cheat code number 4. The payout shortchange. This one walks the line between mistake and technique, but it happens far too often to be coincidental. Dealers make small payout errors that favor the house. A $15 bet gets paid $20 instead of $22.50 on a blackjack. A split-hand payout gets calculated wrong. Small errors, easily dismissed as honest mistakes, but they add up over time. Here's the technique. You win a hand with a $25 bet. Dealer owes you $25. They quickly pay you $20 and move on. You're focused on the next hand or conversation. You don't immediately notice the $5 shortage. By the time you realize, 2 more hands have been dealt. You mention it. The dealer apologizes, says it was an honest mistake, corrects it. No harm, no foul, right? Wrong, because for every error you catch, there are probably 2 to 3 you didn't catch. Small amounts, $5 here, $10 there. Over a 4-hour session, those small errors can accumulate to $50 to $100 in the house's favor. And because they're mistakes, there's no fraud, no crime, just human error that mysteriously always favors the casino. As a dealer, I watched other dealers do this constantly. Some were genuinely making mistakes because they were tired or distracted. But others, the veterans, the skilled dealers, their mistakes had a suspicious pattern. Always in the house's favor. Always small enough to be explained as honest error. Never large enough to trigger serious scrutiny. I'll be honest, I made payout mistakes too. In my first year, they were genuine errors. I was learning, miscalculating, moving too fast. But I noticed something interesting. When I made an error in the player's favor, overpaying the pit boss would catch it immediately and correct me. When I made an error in the house's favor, one play nobody said anything unless the player noticed. That created an incentive structure. Errors that favor the house are quietly accepted. Errors that favor the player are immediately corrected. Over time, dealers internalize this. They become subconsciously more careful about overpaying and less careful about underpaying. It's not explicitly taught, but it's implicitly reinforced. Here's how this affects you. You're playing $25 hands. The dealer shorts you $5 to $10 per error, and you catch maybe half. Over 100 hands. If there are 5 errors you don't catch, you've lost $25 to 52 mistakes. That's an extra 2 to 4 hands worth of losses that had nothing to do with card play. Pure administrative theft disguised as human error. How do you counter this? Verify every payout. Watch the dealer's hands. Count your chips before the next hand is dealt. If something feels wrong, speak up immediately. Don't be embarrassed. Don't assume the dealer is honest. Trust, but verify every single hand. I dealt 2 players who would literally count their chips after every payout. Other players found it annoying. The dealer found it irritating, but those players never got shorted. They caught every error. They protected their money. That's smart play. Here's the insider truth. When a dealer realizes you're verifying every payout, their error rate mysteriously drops to 0. Funny how that works. Dealers make mistakes with inattentive players. Dealers are suddenly flawless with attentive players. That pattern tells you everything you need to know about whether these are truly random errors. Cheat code number 7. The toke hustling pressure. This final technique is psychological warfare disguised as social convention. Tokes are dealer tips. Players tip dealers when winning, or just to be nice. Dealers appreciate tokes. It's a significant part of their income. But some dealers use toke pressure as a manipulation technique to influence your betting and playing decisions. Here's how it works. The dealer is friendly, social, engaging. You tip them $5 on a winning hand. The dealer thanks you enthusiastically, makes you feel good about tipping. You continue playing. You hit a losing streak. The dealer's demeanor subtly shifts. Less warm, less engaged. You feel the social pressure. You want to get back to that positive interaction. So you bet bigger, trying to win so you can tip again and restore the social warmth. As a dealer, I watched veteran dealers execute this masterfully. They'd create an atmosphere where tipping was expected and socially rewarded. Players who tipped got smiles, conversation, jokes. Players who didn't tip got cold efficiency. The social pressure was enormous. Players would bet beyond their comfort zone, trying to win enough to tip and maintain social approval. But here's the manipulation. The dealer's warmth or coldness has nothing to do with your actual play. It's a trained behavior to influence your emotional state and betting patterns. When you're chasing social approval through tipping, you're making emotional decisions, not mathematical ones. And emotional decisions lose money. Here's a concrete example. You're playing $10 hands using perfect basic strategy, managing your bankroll well. The dealer is friendly because you've tipped twice. Then you hit a losing streak. You're down $100. The dealer's energy drops. You feel it. Instead of continuing your $10 disciplined play, you jump to $25 hands, trying to win quickly so you can tip and restore the positive atmosphere. You lose those $25 hands. The toke pressure just cost you an extra $50. The psychological trap is that tipping feels good. You're being generous. You're taking care of the dealer. You're being social and classy. But if that tipping pressure influences your betting decisions, it's no longer generosity, it's manipulation. The dealer isn't your friend. They're a casino employee trained to extract maximum revenue. Have you ever felt pressure to tip a dealer even when losing? Comment yes or no, because that pressure isn't accidental. Some dealers cultivate it deliberately to influence your emotional state and betting behavior. The counter: tip if you want to, when you want to, in amounts that don't affect your bankroll management. Don't let dealer warmth or coldness influence your betting decisions. If the dealer gets cold because you're not tipping, let them. You're not there to manage the dealer's emotional state. You're there to play blackjack mathematically. I dealt 2 players who never tipped, not once. They were cold, analytical, focused. Other dealers hated dealing to them. I found it clarifying. Those players weren't there for social approval. They were there to play mathematically optimal blackjack. Their win rates reflected that singular focus. Here's the insider truth. The best dealers for your bankroll are the cold, efficient, minimally social dealers. They deal quickly, accurately, without psychological manipulation. You play, they deal. Money moves based on cards, not social dynamics. Those dealers don't maximize tips, but they also don't emotionally manipulate you into bad decisions. Now, I'm not saying never tip dealers. If you're winning, if you want to share, if the dealer provided good service, tip them. But make it a conscious decision based on your situation, not a response to social pressure or emotional manipulation. Control the tipping dynamic. Don't let it control you. Bringing it all together, the complete defense system. Let's synthesize all 7 cheat codes into a complete defensive strategy. When you sit down at a blackjack table, you're entering a psychological battlefield. The dealer has been trained in techniques designed to tilt every advantage toward the house. Your job is to recognize and neutralize each technique. Against the rush shuffle, slow down deliberately. Take your time on every decision. Use a strategy card. Ignore pressure from the dealer or other players. Your pace, your rules. Against the strategic peak, ignore dealer body language completely. Don't try to read tells. Play pure basic strategy regardless of dealer timing or demeanor. Against the friendly distraction, be pleasant but focused. Don't let conversation override mathematical decision-making. If necessary, politely disengage to concentrate. Against payout, shortchanging. Verify every payout immediately. Count your chips before the next hand. Speak up on errors without hesitation or embarrassment. Against CSM manipulation, avoid CSM tables entirely. Play only traditional shoe games with visible shuffles and clear penetration. Against shallow penetration, watch where the cut card is placed. Request deeper penetration if it's shallow. If denied, consider finding a different table. Against toke pressure, tip consciously, not emotionally. Don't let dealer warmth or coldness influence your betting decisions. Control the social dynamic. When you implement all 7 defenses, you transform from a typical player into an informed player. The dealer recognizes immediately that you're different. You're not rushed, you're not distracted. You're not making errors. You're verifying payouts. You're watching penetration. You're playing mathematically. That recognition changes the entire dynamic at the table. How many of these 7 techniques have you experienced? Count them up. Drop your number in the comments. 0 means you've been lucky or haven't played much. 3 to 5 means you're a typical player who's been manipulated without knowing it. 6 to 7 means you've experienced the full dealer playbook and now understand why you've been losing. Here's the final truth. These 7 techniques aren't illegal. They're not cheating in the criminal sense. But they're absolutely designed to manipulate your psychology and behavior to increase casino profit. When dealers are trained in these methods and when pit bosses encourage their use, it crosses the line from fair gaming to systematic exploitation.